welcome back to another episode of the Film Alchemist podcast, the show where we look at movies we love, break them apart, to find out what gives them their magic. I'm your host, Josh Griffey, joined as always by my most excellent friend and co-host,
Alex D'Andino, Esquire.
Esquire. All right, guys, before today's jaunt through time-traveling movies, a little business. Guys, it's official. We are on Patreon. Filmalchemist.com Patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. You know it. One more time for those of you in the back. Patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. See, I'm a pro. Guys, for as little as $1 a month, you can help support the show. You can get in to our community over there, again, for as little as $1 a month. As the higher you go in tiers, you can begin to select specific episodes and movies that you want us to talk about as part of our patron-exclusive curated library over there. We have some awesome stuff we're working on right now to be adding to the Patreon experience over there. It is the best way to help the show, guys. It means the world to us. So for those of you that do that, thank you. For those of you who are about to, thank you as well. Please take a second, leave us a rating and review wherever you find the pod. 5-star, couple sentences about why you enjoy spending time with us means the world to us. Thank you to those of you who do that. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, Film Alchemist, for video versions of most of our podcasts there, along with projects to be announced. You can email the show, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com, and find us on all the social media you're on. We're easy to get a hold of. We love hearing from you guys. Thank you for all the support and love you guys have been giving us. It's been a great year so far. Super excited to get to our October Mega Marathon. It's going to be a great year, guys. All right. Enough of that corporate bullshit. Time travel. Alex, today we are discussing Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. This is a movie that I would say against all odds became shockingly iconic, wildly beloved, and has a massive following. In fact, as late as a year ago, we still got a fucking Bill and Ted movie. Alex, opening thoughts on why Bill and Ted have traveled from the 80s and are still with us today.
I honestly could not tell you. It's a fascinating, like this. I can actually tell you as a child, this was in my top 5 favorite movies of all time.
Just loved it, yeah.
I loved it. I loved everything about it. I loved that cartoon that came out. I watched it religiously. Like that was what, like my parents scrimped and saved to buy me the time booth for Christmas one year. Like that was all I wanted. I didn't give a shit about anything else. It was like, I just want a time booth. I just want that time booth. That's all I cared about.
It was shitty awesome. American knockoff of a
shitty
TARDIS.
American toy. It was garbage, and I loved every second of it. It broke in 5 seconds. It was wonderful. But Bill and Ted answered this like really fantastic question that we talk about a lot this month, which is like the haphazardness of time travel. Like, who are these people that are hurtling through time, being hurtled through the nexus of time and space? Just two dudes living their best life. And that, like, to me, is like kind of the crux of the argument why Bill and Ted works. Bill and Ted are so kind of like oddly inconsequential in a lot of ways. Like, they're just two fucking stoner dudes who can't play guitar but pretend they can play guitar. They love just being friends that much, and they love just being dudes, that their whole ethos, their entire concept of being, as we find out, 600 years in the future, has literally shaped humanity in a way that we never thought possible. And that to me is the truly awesome thing about Bill and Ted. Bill and Ted is about the profundity of nothingness.
Well, we will never get tired of the random loser plucked from their loser nest.
Never. My favorite.
Taking an adventure, right? So many movies and TV shows exist on the here are two stoners, drunks, whatever, right?
Absolutely.
Forced into an adventure, right? It always works on us, right? Because I think a lot of us are like, yeah, we're probably more Bill and Ted than we want to admit.
Oh, yeah.
Than we are the scientists from
right
the time machine, yeah. So I think we're all entranced by that story. I think you also can't get past the fact that Alex Winters and Keanu Reeves are just
They're
charming
incredible.
beyond compare. They have this weird, almost screwball comedy banter.
It's very
So
Laurel and Hardy.
Yes, while they are played as dumb, they have this kind of overly elaborate dumb speak that has its own little patter to it that's really funny and engaging. And it doesn't put you off just hearing people say dumb things, right? So I think it's just one of these, because you can almost imagine the pitch meeting for this and just, ooh, boy, stoners who don't smoke traveling through time for a school project. You're like, all right, in the 80s, sure. Like, outside of that, who knows, man? But I think they kind of just struck on these beats. And it's strange because you watch the movie, and narratively, it's zero. There's nothing happening this whole movie, essentially, right?
Other than Napoleon's journey, yes.
Yeah, I mean, he's the only one with like a scary arc, right? I mean, this is Dante, going down into the inferno.
There is some fucking shit in there, but yeah.
Yeah. I actually have a theory that this whole movie is very dark compared to what we see it as. But
Of course you do.
Of course I do. That's how I watch movies. But again, there's something about just watching Bill and Ted walk into a saloon and order beers and play poker. It's just fucking funny. Like, you just enjoy watching that.
It's this version. I said this during 12. I think it was 12 Monkeys. I can't remember which movie I said this. But like, Bill and Ted also have this sort of like there's like a level of consequence freeness to Bill and Ted's like travels through time that really kind of speak to everything we want time travel to be. Time travel, you'll find out later on, we'll do time travel in some cases is quite consequential, as you'll find out when we do our listener pick. It's coming up on I think next week or a week after. But this one is like one of those things where you're just like, these guys are just surfing through time. They're meeting people and they're like, you seem cool. Why don't we go let's go hang. Let's go play. Like, there's a level of playfulness that I don't think we get a lot in time travel movies, because so often we're worried about the paradoxes and the consequences of actual time unraveling in its own way. I think it's interesting because there's just enough of that in the movie. There's just enough of time is at stake in the movie to be ticking clockish in its own way, but also the ticking clock is also, hey guys, you got to finish that history report. Like, this should not work at all. And it just does.
I think that's the thing, because Bill and Ted, through the alchemy of this process, right, became these insanely charming guys that we want to follow, right? They just cast them perfectly.
Yep.
They have a funny enough banter. Whenever we cut to Napoleon, you're like, I could just turn this movie off, right? There is like a dark scariness to that story, but so it's a fucking zero. And I'm shocked at how much of this movie's a zero. And by the end, imagine we're in high school, right? And it's like, all right, so every homework assignment of what I like in a movie, this movie's like 0, 0, 0. And then by the end, you're like, they did kind of crush the final exam for me. Like, it just works. Pop quiz, you have 2 great characters. Well, yeah, all right. That's an A, yeah. So now you're up to like a 25%. They fucking crush. And by the end, I don't know why. Because, yeah, so to your point, right? By the end, the final performance is just lame and long.
It's very long. Oh.
There are just so many beats that you're like, why? But I do have to take a little umbrage with what you're saying. I don't think we could say that this is consequence-free time travel, right? And I think we see fuckery both in the past and in the future, right? So let's start with the future. This death cult of the future, I worry about that, right? Because we see, so Bill and Ted's time machine gets broken in medieval times, right? They can't get the number. All of a sudden, he's dialing random numbers. Yeah. He just happens to land in the throne room, the head of this future, right? These floating fucking tribunals that make all the decisions of the future. They have no security protocols that the time machine can't just arrive there. I think they brought them there. And what do? They play the shittiest song I've ever heard in a movie. That's extreme, but it's really bad. It's like, what if you two just had the spirit of like a mall stand, right? Like, that's the song. Wild Stallions are not good. And any scene in this movie, they're not good. You could not base a utopian future off of the wild stallions. I think there is
know
a
about
cult
that.
forming, right? I worry about when you get out of that super phallic crystal room, right? What kind of hellscape is happening outside of that cult bunker that we're in?
Well, I mean, there's definitely this like go God go 3000. Like, have you ever seen that South Park episode where Cartman freezes himself and gets stuck in the future? Like, there's definitely that going on outside. But inside this phallic crystalline palace, there is nothing but good vibes.
Okay, but it's all a put on. You think that there's any way that a time traveling society can just allow these two to just enter in there randomly? Any time traveler can just randomly enter the throne room and kill the tribunal?
They're not.
You're
Those
telling
two
me
aren't.
there's not one disgruntled metalhead in the future that's like, I liked Wild Stallion before they went corporate. And it's
Well,
like
that's
trying
the
to blow this
that's
place
like
up.
the darkness that they don't address is like Wild
That's what
Stallion.
I'm saying.
Like,
Outside of that dick crystal room, it is
outside of the
fucking
Dick
mad
Crystal
Bill
room,
and Ted.
like you know, the metalheads are like, you know, the put-upons or the people that they stick in the dungeons. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think it's insanity, right? I think there's something really nefarious. Here's another weird hiccup in the time travel. So all this time traveling, right? You can travel around, essentially do no harm, wink.
Mm-hmm.
Why does the clock always keep running on San Dimas? Why is San Dimas the set point with which becomes the foundation of all in time and space?
Because of
That no matter how they're traveling, the clock is always ticking.
Because how important Bill and Ted are to the future. That's why.
But why are Bill and Ted that important to the future? Why these two fucking rubes?
Rufus tells us in the beginning of the movie they help create a
He tells
utopia.
us that they create a band, right?
Okay.
It becomes so important that we're better at mini golf and bowling, right? That even the dirt is clean, right? Great opening, great Carlin bit. He's amazing.
Great Carlin bit,
right?
Yes.
That is stupid beyond compare, right? So let's look at this. Is the thing. Also, we see that Wild Stallion fucking blows, and we know that Ted is about to go to military school, right? It's that meme, right? That John Wick is the alternate timeline where Bill got sent to military school. You know, great meme. But this is the thing. So they could not have created Wild Stallion without the interference of the future Dick Crystal cult and Rufus.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And what we see by the end of the movie, they're now manipulating time to make themselves better at things in the present, right? That final presentation, right? That infinitely long and boring presentation where they don't truly do anything except for, hey, my parents have enough money to hire extras from Central Casting, right? They don't actually tell us anything about history. So that's just a rich white kid A+. They have light cues and music cues. And all of the people know where to stand on the stage in their various size podiums. Bill and Ted have been time traveling to practice and rehearse their project.
Okay.
So we already see by the end, right? Hey, remember keys.
So wait a
Remember a
second.
bucket. They're already usurping the powers of time to make themselves better at things.
We've gone through this entire month, and you're still concerned. Like, we've talked about this. Every time traveler is selfish in their own way.
Okay,
Bill and
but
Ted
here's the
chief
thing.
amongst them.
What you're saying, though, right, is that this is a carefree stoner jaunt through time. There's no stakes. I think this movie is hinting that at the edges, everything is horrible, right past where we see, right? Think about
I didn't say there were no stakes. I said the stakes are muted.
But, like, there's no consequences to their actions of traveling through time.
There's
right?
no
That was your
butterfly effect consequences. No, I'm sure
What if there
there's
fucking
something.
is? Okay, so
Well,
you think
I'm
okay.
No. I'm saying within the context of the movie, at that exact moment, there are no butterfly effect consequences. Like, they don't come back in the future and, like, you know, they don't come back and it's not like, you know, Sound of Thunder.
Or is it? Okay, so here's the thing.
It's not.
Do Bill and Ted in this timeline of San Dimas become integral to the entire time-space continuum, right? Do you think it is coincidence that Bill and Ted go back in time, kidnap Napoleon, right? He's actually blown up into the time circuits, right? And he somehow goes back. And that Napoleon, through this jaunt through our current America, realizes that he obviously has failed and has no historical import. His mission has failed.
Right.
He has one day where he wears a white swimsuit where all the children at that park are seeing his bits and butt, right?
Right.
And he has one moment of pure, unadulterated joy, right? This evil man from history, as we've made him, this little evil firecracker, right, is happy going down the water slide. At one point, he picks up a small child, carries her up the stairs to have more fun. Read that as you will. Do we think that there's any possibility that that place, Waterloo, he then goes back into his shitty fucking French existence and he's like, God damn it, we don't have toilets or Piggy Wiggies or water parks.
Ziggy Piggies.
Yeah, and he sees a town called Waterloo and is drawn there because of his love of that water park, and that is where his undoing happens. Do you think that it's possible that Joan of Arc praying in the basement and Bill and Ted reached their hand out when she's sent back to her shitty existence? Is it strange that she thinks she hears voices that lead her to be burned at the stake, if I'm not mistaken? I'm just saying.
I don't think that's necessarily
Bill and Ted are integrally intertwined in the entire history of all of these people. They cannot have just existed in the 80s as we are thinking about it.
I'm not saying what you're saying is incorrect. What I'm saying is, A, you are sucking the joy out of literally all of this.
No, I'm not. This is the joy.
I literally can't imagine anyone looking at Bill and Ted more negatively and be like, fucking scumbags. But
I think they are puppets. I'm not saying it's Bill and Ted's fault. I think they're a lovable.
It's technically,
lovable rubes to be usurped by the Dick
the snake eating its tail, though. Like this whole, by your theory, which would make sense because it's time travel, everything in this movie is paradoxical.
No, I think Bill and Ted exist in some way that this has to occur, right? I think there is something very strange with these two, that they are this fixed point in time that has to occur this way, and I think that's why the future cult is built around them. I don't think it's because they're good at music. I think this is like a Kim Jong-un.
I don't think anyone's accusing Wild Stallions of being good at music. Not until the sequel.
Well, not only that, they specifically play the song for us. We know that they suck. So we know that this future is built upon a lie. There's not one person on Earth who heard that song and was like, banger.
I don't know. There's a lot of people who think three guys in a garage playing a song sucks, and a bunch of people who also think it's very good.
You're not wrong on that, right? There are the people that would be outside in the wasteland.
Yeah, there's plenty of people on Pitchfork.com that I'm sure would love Wild Stallions. They're like, oh, dude, no, that's perfect.
This will prove that I like music the most.
This will prove that I like music the most of anyone.
This movie is showing us that there are, and again, I'm saying this all in the context of this. I've never seen the other two Bill and Teds, so I'm not trying to prognosticate this out. I'm just taking this one as it is. And we could have the conversation where we just did 10 minutes of, oh, wasn't that a funny, dumb movie? And then end the show. Or we can nibble around. I think that's the fun of Bill and Ted.
Whoa. Why do you always do this to me? I'm just asking a question here. Why do you always fucking decide that I'm the one who says, well, let's just talk about the movie as is? Jesus Christ.
I'm just saying, speaking of sucking the joy out of it, if we're going to be the Wild Stallions of podcast,
you are worse.
You got a yes
You are
and.
worse. You are worse.
How dare
you are worse than Napoleon taking the last bit of the Ziggy Piggy. That's what's happening here.
Is that worse, or is he saving that woman from diabetes?
I'm having this conversation, and you just taking me to task for absolutely nothing other than just disagreeing with you. I think Bill and Ted...
Maybe I'm just like Ted's father and I want what's best for you.
I think you're like Ted's father and that you would send me to military school for disagreeing with you.
Yeah, for not yes-anding.
You're going to turn Dandino into John Wick. That's what's going to happen.
UCB school so you can yes-and my theories.
I am yes-anding your theory. I even told you were right. Either way, I don't disagree with what you're saying. What I'm saying is like, obviously, the profundity of nothingness that Bill and Ted seem to relish in. The inability to play the music that they love. The inability to see that Eddie Van Halen is not going to be the thing that actually makes your band good. Your band is not good. But
I like that bit.
But the love that they have for being themselves, simply just existing, is what makes that point in time in San Dimas so important. It radicalizes the world into realizing that, hey, it's okay to just kind of suck at things. It averages everyone out and makes everyone much happier in the long run.
So you're
That
saying
is
you
why-
buy into the fact that Bill and
That
Ted
is why
become
600
these-
years later, Rufus says, even the dirt is clean.
Come on. What are we discussing? What are we discussing here?
Oh, what? You can't yes and me? I see what's happening here.
What I'm saying, no, I'm yes anding you. This is yes and. Why are they so likable that they rewrite time? Because they were fucking plants. These are not normal humans. I think there is a theory that they.
Are you
will
saying
put
that they
here-
lie outside the time-space continuum?
I do. I fucking do. I don't think these are just two normal dipshits that just exist and are able to do all these things without any consequence. I don't accept this in the movie. And by the end, we see them starting to harness their power for ill. I don't like it. I think there's bad things to come. I think this is a fucking death cult. Why? You know what it is? The movie's telling us. Remember that long opening of the dick crystal coming down? Yes. That is letting you know this cult is fucking everyone in the future. Just crushing them beneath this wild stallion shitty elevator music that we all just have to suffer. I think it is absurd to believe that Bill and Ted exist without paradox.
That's what I just said. Yes, that's what I'm saying. Literally, what you're saying is everything in the movie is
I'm building upon
paradoxical.
what you said. That's what a yes and is.
Literally, everything in the movie is paradoxical. Bill and Ted inspire the future, therefore the future comes back to re-inspire them, and therefore they go in the future. They go in the past to inspire those people to come forward.
They're not inspired by the past.
They're inspired by the need to get. They're inspired by a need to get an A+ on their history reports.
Let me ask you this: at the end of the film, does Rufus just gift them to women?
No,
like they are tribal warlords.
No.
Really? He didn't just go back and steal those girls and then say, here, I will strand you in a different time that you're ill-equipped to exist in?
I don't think he stole them. He stole them from, if anything, he stole them from the worst life ever. They're getting married to these two olds anyways.
Did they call for Rufus to do that? Or did Rufus just say, my overlords need women?
No, they said, hey, those two awesome dudes you met who wear like really weird clothes would like you to join them on a journey. That's what that is Rufus being the ultimate wingman.
I mean, that's a solid wingman move if you take it on face value. These rubes from medieval times you cannot physically or accurately describe to them what you are asking them to do, which is exist in 1986 or whenever this movie happens.
Okay.
This does not go well for any other figure in time we see. These women are stuck and stranded.
Why don't we let's play this scenario out.
Play it out.
Time Rufus shows up. He goes, ladies, hello. Are you excited to marry those two weird olds your dad set you up with? No, not really. What about those fucking smoking looking dudes who showed up in like weird clothes?
Smoking looking dudes? That's what we're going.
Listen, this is mine, all right? You can yes and later, all right?
Okay. And also, I don't know that you're wrong. I just had to think about it. They are pretty attractive.
They're attractive dudes.
They're rock solid attractive. Okay.
I mean, it's
yes,
young Keanu.
Alex, yes.
Young Keanu. Would you like to come to the future with me, see all these cool new things, not shit in a hole in the ground anymore, and, I don't know, hang out with some pretty decent people? I cannot see a scenario in which that would be a bad thing.
I think you're skipping over the
sorry.
The sexual
also, there's
property Fleetwood Mac nature of Wild Style.
At no point does Rufus say, by the way, you'll be sex slaves to these weirdos for the rest of your lives.
That's implied. That's just
It is not implied. Not even close.
Absolutely implied.
No.
For sure.
Never implied.
Because what we know is that they use time to go back constantly to get better at things, right? That's how they'll become a band and learn how to play their instruments. That's how they did their project. Also, are we to just assume that Ted's dad is going to have no say in this after the trash can hit his head? Ted's dad is going to become an alcoholic and unravel. Ted's younger brother is going to lead the worst possible future. There's so many bad things happening in this movie. Let me ask you a really weird one. Would you have been stoked for your dad to fuck a chick you went to high school with in your room?
No. By the way, okay.
So weird.
Hey, can we actually? I do want to address this real quick because I had totally forgotten like the actual life, like because Ted's like, wasn't she a senior when we were freshmen? Like, wait a second.
They asked her to prom.
Yeah. Like, that in and of itself is utter terror. That is true. Like, if you want to talk about really fucked up time travel shit, it's that right there. A dad not knowing boundaries. That's the problem.
I mean, but not only that, it's almost as if she's like a rogue sleeper agent from a future rivaling cult. Because she just says yes to everything Bill and Ted want, right? The dad walks in the room and turns into a cartoon wolf. As if he has liked the men who saw Jessica Rabbit in our patron-exclusive Jessica Rabbit episode. Patreon.com/FilmAlchemistPod. You know what I mean? He walks in and he just goes, yeah. So much that he's like, take my money and get out. I'm going to fuck Missy on your bed. Like, doesn't even hide the fact that he's just undressing her with his disgusting old accountant eyes and is about to just fucking leave soiled sheets for his son. That's insane.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with that. I actually think it's horrifyingly disgusting on multiple levels. But are you saying that if she's coming back from the future,
you think like there's nothing odd about Missy? Well, besides the fact that she seems to be slinging it with everyone at that school.
You're saying she's a sleeper agent from a rival death cult? Like, I'm saying, so you've never seen the sequels, right?
No, I think what we learn about Bill and Ted is that everything is unreliable. We can't trust anything we see in this film. Is the riff I'm going with.
You've never seen the sequel,
Bogus Journey.
Correct?
I feel like I saw Bogus Journey when I was a boy, and I used to watch these a lot. I couldn't tell you one thing about it except for that it has the Grim Reaper.
Yeah.
Right. I have no idea what happens in that movie.
William Statler is the Grim Reaper.
Don't try to crush my theory with future evidence.
All right. Well, in relation, there's more to it than just the Grim Reaper, but sure. I mean, it's very likely that Missy is coming back from the future, too.
I love how we just are, like, piling on. It's like, it's very likely that Missy's a future fucking femme fatale.
I mean, this is the thing about Bill and Ted. Like, this is why we have to keep saying it's very likely. Bill and Ted leave, like, again, there's never an explanation for anything. I think this is, like, the key to the movie itself. Is there's not an explanation for, like, why, the how. Like, they never explain the actual mechanics of the time booth other than, like, hey, that antenna's important. Like, that's it. There's absolutely nothing else to it other than just, quite frankly, like, go kid. And that, to me, is the key to why the movie works, because if we get bogged down in the primer-like details of what is happening in the world, I don't think the movie actually starts.
I love the idea of Bill and Ted in, like, a porno remake of Primer. Like, that level of, like, narrative and shit.
Oh, my God. Give me that movie.
I don't know. Maybe this is just me trying to add on, right? In a world where I'm sure everyone's talked about how nice Keanu and Alex are. What I'm saying is, though, every scene has a subtext of something horrible right on the verge, right?
There is this sinister... There's absolutely a sinister vibe. Like, Billy the Kid, particularly. There is a sinister vibe here. Also, it's the only scene in which someone actually gets, like, shot. Something, like, truly horrible. Like, someone gets shot in the foot in that scene. Like,
I'll tell you this. When they decide to start their school project with shooting a gun in school, that plays very differently now than when I watched this movie.
Yeah, very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable viewing on this round. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I guess... I do like the idea, though, that Napoleon does see the Waterloo theme park, and he's like, oh, that's going to be... Yeah.
I think all of these people are led to their destruction because of it. It's the classic Doctor Who bit, right? The companions always come back, and how do you lead a life after you've traveled time and space with the Doctor? There's no way you can go back to working at State Farm after that. You're like, this will just be an unfulfilling life. And this is what the movie, I think Joan of Arc for sure, Napoleon. There's the weird bit where Beethoven comes back and he can hear the synthesizer music, I guess. And he just starts rocking out. Like, who knows? I don't know enough about Beethoven to know how his life went down.
But
this is what I mean, right? This is a Doctor Who thing too, right? There's an amazing opener when Peter Capaldi opens off. And he's just kind of, fucking... fluffing around the TARDIS being amazing. And he's talking about the bootstrap paradox, right? This is kind of what I honed in on Bill and Ted, right? is the doctor goes to this small town and he's like Mozart or Beethoven, whoever is his favorite musician. So he goes back in time and he goes to the town where Beethoven's from. And he goes, I love Beethoven. And they're like, who? And he goes, Beethoven, right? And they go, oh, that little boy down the road? Like, he's a nobody. The doctor shows up with the written out music of Beethoven, hands it to Beethoven, thus creating Beethoven, right? The bootstrap paradox becomes who created the first leaflet.
Right. Well, and I
think that's what Bill and Ted are. I think they're a bootstrap paradox.
I agree with that, and because this theory works, because when you think about it, all the people that Bill and Ted essentially kidnap from the past are all people who died fairly famously. Like Socrates famously died. I don't remember how. I think Plato was the one.
So not as famously.
Well, no, because I thought I knew, but I think Plato's the one who drank hemlock, correct? Whatever. Either way,
clue.
all these people...
I am a Bill and Ted level historian, so I do not know.
Billy the Kid, obviously, is Western United, like
He's
Abraham
just
Lincoln.
waiting on his friends to come back, so he's running around, pew pew, getting a little
Abraham
extra.
Lincoln went to see a play. We all know how that ended. I mean, there's...
Do you think Abraham Lincoln fell in love with the theater because of what he saw in that auditorium?
I think definitely. I do believe that like Bill and Ted certainly are the inspiration for the demise of every character they bring to the future. But in doing so, allows the future to unfold as it would have almost. Like the future does not change because paradoxically they have not done anything. They've only inspired those deaths.
But think about that, right? These two fucking idiots foisted up, right? Like the McDonald's arches. Come here, other idiots. Come on, sheeple. Walk in here. Meanwhile, you've got the floating death cult like, isn't everything better? We are these fucking sedated masses. This is 1984 via Bill and Ted, right? They were these perfect fucking Trojan horse.
Right.
Look at these dumb fucking Walmart level U2 band.
Right.
Next thing
you know the way you feel right now?
Yeah.
That's what QAnon feels like. That's what that is.
How fucking dare you? You are going to military school, you fucking bastard.
No. That is no. I mean, this is what we do on the show all the time, anyways. I'm sure they're listening.
Ourselves Ted-Anons.
I'm sure those Anon dudes love to listen to us for pointers on how to come up with shit. Ultimately,
how dare you?
We're inspirations all over the place, Griff. I don't know what to tell you. There is this I actually like the idea that Bill and Ted paradoxically create futures, the future timeline they're already on, simply by allowing these people to come forward and scaring the shit out of them, essentially into their own deaths.
Okay, now this might be one of the biggest stretches in movie discussion history. I think this movie plays like Metropolis, right? I think Bill and Ted are the Marias of this movie, right? Whether they know it or not, they are here for a purpose. They are built to come back to this pivotal time when greed is good,
right,
and crush us via San Dimas, right? And perhaps to do that, they had to go back and make sure all these historical figures were fucking wrecked in the process, right?
Sure.
And don't achieve this, that, and the other, right? So the death cult in the future has figured out what pieces need to move where to fucking create the fact that these fucking twin doofus Marias exist now. I don't know. Is Bill and Ted the Metropolis of the 80s? I don't know that for a fact. I'm saying...
Could be the Metropolis of the millennium.
I'm going to ancient aliens everything else on the rest of this pod. Is it possible that Bill and Ted are fucking Marias, double agents that don't know their lot in life?
As Glenn Beck once said, these are just questions.
Oh my God! Stop putting that shit on me. I don't know. Is this the weirdest Bill and Ted podcast that's ever been recorded?
Perhaps.
Is it possible?
I mean, it's as possible as dirt being clean in the 2600s. I mean, to me, it would make total sense that Bill and Ted, through their own stupidity of just like time traveling on their own, would cause these problems.
That's what I'm saying.
But like, here's the other thing too then. Conversely, had they not traveled into the future, these are still the stories. So does that mean if they were reading their history books and had not traveled into the future anyways, Are we talking about a completely splintered timeline then?
I don't think they ever have a choice, right? Imagine this. They go back in time, right? Who do they see? Neanderthals.
Right.
Who goes extinct? Neanderthals. So that lesser fucking humanoid characters can survive.
In that case, could it be that Bill and Ted are less idiots and more, are they just the harbingers of doom themselves?
Why was Freud so obsessed with guys that want to fuck their moms? Because of Bill and Ted.
Because of Bill and Ted.
He was the edible complex.
There it is. Fuck.
Boom.
Yes. Okay.
Why is he only talking to Ted about his dad, right? When Ted wakes up, whoa. And then Bill drops the edible complex. What is that? And then he creates this thing that went on and traumatized tons of people afterwards.
This is true. Okay. Bill and Ted might just be the harbingers of doom that we've often been led astray on.
Yeah.
I don't see why they wouldn't be.
The Typhoid Marys, man. They might not know what they're doing. They're just walking around spreading pestilence through the timeline so that at the end we can have the Dick Crystal cult fucking lording over us. We don't know what's outside of that room.
They know not what they wrought, bro.
Yeah, bro. Why did they get in that room, bro? Because they wanted him there. They were puppets.
This is legitimately a sound theory. Perhaps, actually, in the future, Bill and Ted are not important, but actually, they instead... Rufus could be a liar, for one, which is very possible. So let's say Rufus is lying to them.
By the way, Rufus, as played by Carlin, gives off massive liar vibes.
True. So let's say they're liars. So let's say that this is a lying situation, 100%. That means Rufus has come to them. Okay, so San Dimas is actually a nexus point in the time-space continuum.
This is where they insert their weapons and change time forever after.
San Dimas is consequential only in that this is where they know that they can place these men to make them inconsequential to history. Mm-hmm. So that then they go back in time and kill off great leaders, great inspirers of people, perhaps, before they are able to actually do any. Before they are able,
I don't know if they retard the legacies of enough of these people, but maybe
they still have legacies.
They create the things they need.
Perhaps they still have legacies, but let's say the Dick Crystal people know their true legacies. Perhaps Bill and Ted are the harbingers of doom and the purveyors of their deaths by the notion that they need to be stopped to do something they truly were going to do to revolutionize the world so that the Dick Crystal people could exist.
Well, why does the Dick Crystal say be excellent to each other? Not be excellent to others, not those others. Just
each other.
Yeah, this fucking reflective pew, 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 pew. Our compliments can ricochet in these crystals, but not
I actually think, the sequel is about like Bill and Ted dying and like playing games with death. I actually think the true sequel to this movie is really Logan's Run when you think about it.
I like the idea that they call them wild stallions because they're just tromping through history, murdering all these possible timelines. They're like that Cyclops and Kroll just riding that giant fire horse. Just
Yes, I love it.
Burning down time. Maybe Joan of Arc would have saved us all, but they had her fucking hear voices and shit. What did they even say? Let's reach out and touch someone.
There is one person I'm curious.
Wait a sec. I've got another one for you.
Go.
All right. So when they're enacting Star Wars in the medieval castle, right?
Right.
Ted falls down the stairs. We see the fall. We see him hit the floor. Bill walks down. This is not an enormous stairwell, right?
No.
He falls. He lands. He's stabbed. Why was he not in that suit of armor? We're told he rolled out of it when he hit the bottom, and the suit laid there perfectly. This was time protecting him. He was pulled from that suit. Time was changed in that instant. There's no possible way he could have got away, been hiding under a table, and not
like a glitch in the Matrix.
Exactly. None of that is possible, right? None of that is possible. If you just watch the way that scene is edited, right? So Ted rolls down the stairs. Bill comes running down. Don't be dead, you medieval dickwad. They fight. Bill is just sitting there or Ted has a turkey leg. He's just been sitting there with a turkey leg for how long? He doesn't see Bill crying and be like, hey, bro, I'm all right. Nothing? Because that's his moment of reinsertion.
It's true. Can't deny it.
I'm telling you.
It never makes sense that scene never made sense to me. And it's one of those things when you're younger, you're always just like, well, movies are stupid. That's what happens sometimes. But
yeah. Like, did you think you were going to get the emotional, like, strings plucking in the middle of Bill and Ted for us?
In the middle of a Bill and Ted movie called Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, I certainly was not going to be duped into thinking Ted actually died.
That Ted got murdered and we just weren't going to go to report. Bill's going to become a junkie. The
movie was actually 40 minutes long. Bill came back from the past. He's like, fuck this.
Exactly. Okay, so that is absurdly stupid when you say it that way. Is it there to tell us something else? I don't know. Do I know that any of these things I'm saying make sense? No. But I think with enough corkboard and red string, I can lay out a pretty good case that Bill and Ted on its surface, right, is a stoner romp with two dummies through time that's just dripping in 80s cool and fun to sedate us, the fucking sheep, the modern day sheep, so that Dick Crystal can crush us. Do I think that's what this movie's saying? Unintentionally, yes.
I can't disagree. I mean, it seems it's been clearly laid out that Bill and Ted are harbingers of all of these famous historical figures' dooms. So really, when you think about it, it would make the most sense that Bill and Ted actually lie outside of time and space and are simply the black cat of the entire time-space continuum.
Metropolis Maria.
Yep.
They are poor little time Pinocchios dropped in to lure us all to Donkey Island.
I can't disagree.
I mean, if nothing else, you watch Bill and Ted. It was a lot of fun.
It was.
Then we just went down the rabbit hole, as it were.
As we do with any movie, and particularly time travel.
Well, I'm telling you, I was watching it with my son Hunter. This is what we turned off the butterfly effect because I forgot that that movie just fucking throws haymakers from the
that
very
movie
start.
That movie hits 100 pretty quick.
Yeah. As soon as you see Eric Stoltz, you're like, get out of the room, kids. And I was like, you can watch Bill and Ted, I think. And yeah, we rewatched it, and my 6-year-old, watching him try to figure out why he liked it, and not being able to tell me why he liked it, but he just liked that they said excellent and did like the air guitar. And I was like, yeah, man, that's why I liked Bill and Ted. That's why people will always like Bill and Ted. And that's what makes them dangerous. That's it for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. That's it for Josh and Alex's absurd podcast. Guys, again, you can help the show out greatly by joining us on Patreon. That's patreon.com/filmalchemistpod. For as little as $1 a month, you can get in and join the community, see what we're doing over there. Thank you for those of you who do that. If you're going to join us, thank you so much in advance. It means the world to us. Please leave us a rating and review wherever you find the show. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Film Alchemist. You can email the show, filmalchemistpod@gmail.com. And you can find us on all the social media you're on. You're there, we're there. You can tell us that we just melted your brain with our Bill and Ted's theory. You can kick me off Film Twitter for saying Bill and Ted is Maria and Metropolis of the 80s. That's fine. Whatever you got to say, we'll be there, guys. We'll be back to finish Time Travel Month with The Butterfly Effect, selected by our patrons. We also are finishing up Fear Street, M. Night Shyamalan's Old. Next month, the pod gets real with documentaries selected by our patron, Heath Benfield. It's going to be an amazing run here for us, guys. So make sure you're staying up with the movies. Thank you for spending time with us. Adios.
Later, dudes.
Excellent.